Welcome back to Welcome to Go Iruma-kun Anime Review, episode number 8. Excuse me. Unlike the last episode, I discussed 3 episodes. This one's discussing 4 because it's the very next story arc, Royal One, which adapts from the chapters, this adapts from chapters 54 to 60. Now, I should point out, though, they did that portion of this at the end of Season 1 as a tease for this season. The very first episode is Normal Iruma, where he basically, this is just after the Suganto training arc, where he's come home like 3 straight days, these welcome home parties, and now the third day is like welcome home after party. And he invites Ozzy and Claire over. As far as I can tell in this series at this point, this is actually the first time Claire and Oz, not the first time they've been in the house per se, it's the first time they've been inside the house, they have a meal, and of course they eat a good meal, play a game that's very similar to Just Dance with a bunch of dancing, and of course, Sullivan's like beat down because he lost, because he only got 6 points compared to everybody else, which has got everyone's got over 600. While in the case of Claire's got over 60,000, and of course, what's his name? Olive. I'm trying to think, what was his name? The one who's the servant for Opera. Yes, Opera. Yes, where. Like Opera gets the thing, and of course they do and then right after that we do a dark parade, aka a vision of courage, which Iruma now doesn't say that the human world, just says, but I think it says in his head, so ears don't hear. So they basically they go to the basement of Sullivan's house, his mansion. Come across a creature was actually one of the horses he owns, disguised as this creature that of course gets horses away, and they try to do a hologram, and of course they do another monster which turns to be a hologram by Opera, and of course we have Sullivan beat the thing, and of course everything hunky-dory, and then of course Ozzy Akred, where before that we actually have picking up before Oz and Claire, where they actually have is where can you stay a little bit longer? They have dessert, instantly go right away. I was like, can you stay just a little bit longer? Okay. So what do? Go to Irma's bedroom, of course, and of course hop on his bed, which probably from Claire's perspective, probably a really enjoyable experience for her. Imagine if the council president get a chance to do this. If Amory, yes, it would be so hilarious. If Amory was one to basically come to his bedroom, that would be quite interesting if that happened. I don't remember if that happens yet. I don't remember. It's been a little while since I read some of the chapters of the book. So basically, he talks to Ozzy, and they mention the whole thing with the last arc where Amory goes to a personality change, basically a docile change. So I was like, okay, I'll do that as Iruma used to sleep. So turn him into Wicked Iruma for a few episodes. And so he kind of basically just calls his grandpa, calls him old man or geezer, and just eats normally. And he basically acts like a punk rebel. And it has Ozzy where he carries his bag for him. And Claire, he just acts very polite to her, pats her on the head, and of course she's very blushing at it. She's like, she actually kind of likes it. And then of course they get to the class itself. And they even have one point where she acts like his heater, because he's cold. So we have Claire warming him up, like, okay. And of course Oz getting him Grey tea. He's like, man, this place sucks. And with the garbage not that far from the actual... dropped. Of course, he decides to burn the garbage there, and he says, "Okay, let's go visit the faculty office." So basically, the whole class just walks like he's basically the whole class is basically like his own gang. Where basically, they're very he's very protective of them, and march straight to Calico and requesting to transfer classrooms. Because he points out, though, that the classroom that he currently have is inadequate, and the whole thing will be Misfits doesn't like very much, will be abnormal, and of course, Krug does probably various things. Of course, they want to transfer to the Royal One. Yes, the very same building they teased back in the pilot episode. The Iruma walked by. You saw him basically, if you watch the pilot episode, you see him briefly stare at the building. And after that, nothing is done with that until this very story arc. It's almost like this was set up basically by the writer himself. Of course, the anime kind of didn't. If you just notice the anime, it's like, maybe that building might be used later, and here it does. So basically, this whole story arc is basically like, okay, so the test is simply they have to gather a bunch of signatures in order to get transferred to that particular building. But Calico thinks him and I get it, gives him like a week. He says, we'll do it in a week. And Calico says, you have 3 days. Like, okay. So they proceed to sort of talk to the teachers very interestingly. Like the one who has a crush on Kirigo, which I found to be so hilarious. Which her name is, let's see if I can find it here. Momiki. So basically, they have the class go to Royal One. They can't go inside because it's locked. There's a whole bunch of locks in this damn thing. So they figure that this is their goal, and they have Jazz be the vanguard. So basically, he teams up with him to go get Calico, and of course, they tease him where he might use the summoning to turn him into his familiar form to get him to stamp. And so, what does he steal from him? His planner. Not his money, not his jewelry, his planner. And gives the planner to, and of course, apparently read it. And of course, he gives it to the teacher who's got the hots for Calico. And in exchange for the steal. And he gets it for the biology teacher, which basically that was, the arrangement with that was to have 2 of the members of the Misfits class. I had to look it up on here. No, not that one. Nope. Let's see if I can find him here. There's one basically, yes, we have Shiner who uses his academic ability to work with a older teacher, basically about studies. Subaru, a Apollo teacher, he attacked back in the pilot episode. Cecile looked like she was trying to help, but she didn't really do much of anything in this arc. She's probably the only one who doesn't really do anything. Yep. So yes, where Agris and Gap, basically, for the bio teacher, just teach you slice to the ground, plant a bunch of plants, Bible plants in this field. We have Elizabeth and Lead, where they basically try to get the astrology teacher via this game that Claire played, which looks like a very abnormal version of chess. Which, okay, and of course they also have take away they take away guy's ability. Now, Lee's ability is to blind people's senses. So, blind his sight, but also apparently take away his sense of smell. Of course, he hid that to the very end. And he got a signature anyways. Claire, of course, is with Schneider, get that one signature. Person Soy really doesn't do anything in this arc. He's another one. You have Calm, who, get this, so he had this much older teacher who basically chastised other teacher for like getting solicitation from an actual student, and then of course you have Calm basically have a glass of wine and talk about being a gentleman with him. It's like gives me good advice, like, okay, I'll sign it for you. I'm like, okay, interesting. But this Yeah, and of course, after all that, and of course, thanks to also Iruma's like friendship with all the Air Falcon members who were not teachers, thanks to them basically him helping them out whenever he can. Like, of course, that comes to play later on. So, after getting the 36 signatures, well, they had to get Kuragos first. Next is the only one. So he goes to his office, and so they think they get it. But no, not really. You have to get all the Falcon members, not just teachers, but like all the other workers, like the janitorial staff, the librarians, everybody. And then one of the janitors going, hey, I have this signature, I have this permission slip for you to transfer classrooms. And apparently the entire 100+ faculty members, not just teachers, everybody else comes in. Looking up that, get this, looking up that Karama got a signature from his grandfather, which that was the easiest one he actually had to do, which had basically play being the normal version where they get the signature very quickly. And so, after all that, after all the solicitation, all the other stuff, pretty reasonable stuff, they have like a little ceremony. You have Calico admitting the fee. Of course, he agrees to his own signature. Of course, he's reluctant first, and he gets it. And of course, they have a celebration at row 1. And they have them basically bring these giant freaking keys. Yes, these giant keys. First, he takes off the little guard thing, and then he unlocks the keys, opens up like, wow. And of course, we see the fact that according to Calico, he mentioned that the whole place is under a spell, in order it's a preserving spell to keep it its actual, when the actual Demon King, the one who's missing, yeah, apparently he is missing. The series has not explained exactly how the heck he went missing, and into this building's like this grand hall, and they go inside apparently the classroom. But in the classroom, there's this giant throne. Apparently, this throne belongs to the Demon King, the one who's missing. And this was for row 1 as the King's classroom. I gotta admit, the animation did a fantastic job with this particular scene when they finally showed the classroom. They've been building toward for a few episodes now. Yeah, it just really good. Of course, then you have Iruma, like the very next day, he basically chastises Izzy for basic experiments, and of course he apologizes to everybody first, his grandfather in opera. They basically accept his apology. Oh, by the way, Amari, he does do a little solicitation with her. He does it one-on-one because he visits her because the student council's influence with the faculty. So he kind of got really close to her, almost to the point he could have kissed her. And of course, Amari's like, okay. And then she doesn't remember anything, but she agrees to it anyways. And of course, he does apologize to her the very next day when he's back to normal, and she accepts his apology, which is during his Wicked phase. He'd be like, ooh, Wicked phase. Does that mean he's a cause of violence? Not really, no. He just a little more calmer version, a little more confident version of basically what Iruma is. And after apologizing to everybody, of course they get to the class in any ways that they wanted, and well, that's it. It's overall really good set of episodes, and I still recommend. I'm going to recommend this right now. Check the series out. It is so freaking good. Like, if you get past the embarrassing bits, it's a really good series. Yes, I would say for season 2 so far, the row 1 arc is a lot more fun to watch than the Council Training. Council Training was okay at best, but row 1 was amazing. It had a good plot with it. Yes, Iruma turns like wicked, turns to a bad boy. But he puts intelligence to good use. Puts the whole class basically, like, he gives them stuff to do. Yeah, there's a couple people who don't do anything, like Karamu basically, like tease, revealing her identity to being a singer. He's like, nah, not really necessary. That's the sister. At one point, there's hilarity when he gets buried by papers. Excuse me. Which I found to be so hilarious. But it is weird, though. You have all these students, and almost, I would say 11 out of 13 of these students do something. Carter doesn't do anything at all. Person Soy, he does practically nothing. Yeah, like, I think during the Row 1 where he just basically just does something. Yeah, it's almost like he's a character who really doesn't do anything for quite a while until the Music Festival arc starts up. Yeah, I remember the Music Festival arc. This is a really interesting arc. I, as far as I can tell, the anime has not got to this arc yet. No, it hasn't, surprisingly. And you're thinking, why the heck have they not got this arc yet? Probably because it's saving for season 2. Not season 3. Yeah, Music Festival, I should point out, though, is the 4th most recent arc in the manga. So, they might get to it in the future. It depends. But, this actually is one character they really don't do anything with at all at this point. It's not until, like, very recent that they finally do something with this character. Well, I'm glad everybody else got something to do in this arc. Yep. And, oh, but by the way, Ozzy got basically went to the new Magic arc, which basically he convinced the leader of it to find out some dirty secrets about these certain faculty members, and that's one way he was able to get to the class and fill out the dirty secrets. So basically, almost like blackmail per se, but this was a really good story arc, and being misfits actually helped out basically in the end. I mean, is there anything to say that's really bad about this arc? Not really, no. Just really good. Yes, I would probably say that the only weakness of this arc, aside from the fact you have one character doesn't do anything at all, I would probably say it's the idol who does practically nothing. I would think that she would basically have something to do, but it's shocking, though, the anime does not give her anything to do, surprisingly. No, just that she's here, just that, well, she doesn't really do anything at all. Not really, no. Yeah. But not much else to say about these episodes. They're good. Okay, so that's episode review. I might have time to do one more tonight. It depends. But it will just be one story arc per se. It will be the very next story arc for the very next episode, which would be first term examinations arc, which this 31 does start this arc per se, but the next few episodes will basically continue this arc. Yep. So, my next video I'm going to do is a comic corner. Yes, a comic corner. I actually have something to review for comic corner wise. Yep. See you next video. Bye.